All right, so hey, those of you tuning in right now, you might be live. Maybe you're watching the show recording on YouTube, but we call this Stormfront Freaks Raw. So this is our recording. You're going to catch a little bit of everything before we start. You'll get all the breaks. So we'll warn you in advance. We never know what we might say. So have your earmuffs ready if need be. But welcome. We got a great show tonight as part of National Weather Podcast Month, and we got Brad Sowder coming on. He's a morning meteorologist at Fox 29 in San Antonio. He's also a chaser. He also used to be a morning meteorologist in Oklahoma City, so I think that's where he got a lot of his storm time. And then we have Chris Jackson joining us tonight as well from Carolina Weather Group. So should be a good show. You can always, if you'd rather listen to the show, the edited show, you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, pretty much any of your favorite podcast apps. You'll find us. And we also will edit the video if you'd rather just watch the actual edited video show with our intro and close and all that good. We'll have a lot of additions that we add in post. You can watch the broadcast edit of this episode of Raw, which is episode 74. You can find on YouTube usually about 10 to 14 days afterwards because we air it first on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. So thanks for tuning in. If you are live, feel free to join the chat as well. A lot of times we'll have questions that you might have for our guest, and we'll try and get those answered for you as well. So, all right, and here's Brad. Brad's on. What's up, sir?
Yeah. Well, hey, guys.
Hi, Brad.
Good evening. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me on here. This is exciting.
So what? So you're in a new place. We just had a couple of our folks move into new places as well. But so you're in a new place, and it looks a little different than what I saw during your sound test. What'd you do? It's beautiful. Who's your decorator?
I moved my computer desk into the bedroom away from where my daughter's watching her Disney shows.
Got it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah, you definitely need the door.
It's still a work in progress. We just moved in last weekend, so still unboxing things, and my wife's probably hammering some nails in the wall.
Okay. Well, let's do this. I think we're waiting on one more. Maz should be coming on, I would imagine, here shortly. But we've got, and Brad, just so you know, we've got Dina.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Dina.
We got Morgan Clark, who's
Hi,
our
Brad.
intern at Ohio State University. We've got MJ Mark Johnson.
Howdy. That's me.
As well, and then we have it's National Weather Podcast Month, and so one of the things we're doing, Brad, is a lot of the independent weather podcasts are kind of helping to promote each other and have some fun. And we've got Chris Jackson from Carolina Weather Group with us tonight.
Great.
So he'll be a guest co-host. And you're muted, Chris.
Yeah. Sorry, I just made the epic mistake.
Yeah, that's one thing we tell everybody. Feel free to mute yourself if there's a lot of noise in the background, or if you're listening and not talking. But don't forget to unmute yourself.
Exactly. I usually never make that mistake. Whatever.
Because you guys use Chris. You guys use Google Hangouts, right?
Yeah, we sure do.
Okay. All right. You know what? I need to do a quick check on my settings here. Voice, I gotta switch to studio.
Okay, that might affect you.
Yep,
You were
sorry.
running a little hot, maybe.
Was I? Okay.
Yeah, you quieted down quite a bit now.
Did I? I think everybody's got your earbuds in. You're good. Brad, you had your what do you call those again?
Little AirPod.
AirPods. God,
Yeah.
AirPods. You're high tech, man. Share the wealth.
I get tangled up in the cords. Yeah.
Don't forget to mute your phones if you got them with you. If you happen to get knocked off for any reason, just use that same Hangouts link you have. Join right back with us, and we'll introduce the co-hosts and all you guys with what are you drinking. So feel free to join us with that, Chris. I kind of didn't give you a heads up on that.
Whoops.
Oh, you're fine.
That's
Okay.
that's the most fun of the show.
Yeah. What do you?
Yeah. looking at the refrigerator now, like, oh crap.
Run.
So here's what we'll do.
Hey,
Yeah,
give
go
yourself
ahead.
a little boost on the
Boost.
sound. A little bit.
Okay. And let's do
that's better.
do a quick check of let's do our sound check here on. Ooh, that's not working.
Did not hear
Yeah,
anything.
that's real low.
No, it's because it's not plugged in. That's the problem. Speakers. Try it again.
Oh,
There
yeah.
it goes.
There it is.
All right, we're good. All right, so we got that. So we'll do. We'll get started. I'll kind of introduce things. We'll talk about. Hey, it's episode 74. I'll mention that Brad's on. We'll then talk about National Podcast Month. I'll mention Chris that you're on, but I probably will wait till closer to the end of the show. But I'll give you some time, Chris, to kind of talk about Carolina Weather Group and talk a little bit about that and when you guys are on and where you can find yourselves and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
But I'll introduce that, and then we'll get to what are you drinking, and then we're gonna have. And Morgan, we're gonna have Dina do. Sorry, Morgan, if you were expecting to do the intro tonight, I'm sorry.
I read the notes.
Okay, so that's probably a
I know
layover.
what's going on.
Layover from before. So Dina's gonna do the. Dina's gonna actually, Brad, give you your introduction, and we'll get the questions started. Sometime about 20 after. I'll take a quick break. From that, and then we can talk a little more at that break. So. Anybody have any questions? Ready to rock and roll? Maz, how you doing, buddy?
Maz.
I'm all mad because of daylight savings time. I'm going to lose sleep on
I know.
Sunday. Oh, man.
So
But otherwise, I'm great.
So the healthy thing to do is think about it now.
Yeah. I'm
I'm thinking about it and I'm mad.
Yeah, way to bring it down. We had some energy going there, Maz, for a little bit.
Call me Uncle Fester tonight.
There we go. All right, let's do this. In 3, 2. Hey, welcome everybody. And I don't even know what I'm saying here. Sorry, we're gonna have to do that again. I had the wrong script. Like I don't know what I'm doing. All right, 3, 2. Okay, I'm screwed. We're gonna try this again. I can't find my clap.
Wait, it's not welcome, everybody? Is that?
Yeah,
is
no,
that not-
I don't know. I'm
just checking.
there.
Strike
We
that
got like
reverse.
80 people on tonight, so that must be the issue. All right, 3, 2. Hey, welcome everybody to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. It's brought to you by Extreme Tornado Tours. They're the world's most popular storm chase tour company. It's probably because these guys always seem to be on the major storms. But seats for the 2019 season are filling up fast. So go ahead and visit extremetornadotours.com so that you can reserve your seats and also learn more. ETT, got to be there. So we're happy to be sharing and partnering with those guys. If you happen to be a first-time listener tonight, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com, access our library of previous shows and famous guests from the weather industry. One of our more recent episodes had meteorologist and American Ninja Warrior Joe Moravsky was on with us. But tonight, this is episode 74, and as part of our Coast to Coast with your favorite TV meteorologist series, we've got morning meteorologist and storm chaser from Fox San Antonio, Brad Sowder, is joining us tonight. So welcome, Brad. We'll be playing our lightning round game with him. And in light of the deadly Lee County, Alabama tornado, we're also going to be asking the question if there's really anything more we can be doing to try to save more lives. So we'll get into that topic. We also have our new tracker chat and tornado track segments. And then we'll also try and lighten things up a little bit at the end with our hashtag Weather Fools and a visit from Weather Trollbot 5000. Yes, she's coming back. Hold your applause. But before we get to that, I do want to share it's National Weather Podcast Month, and we're encouraging everyone to take the Weather Podcast Challenge, where you listen to an episode of each of the 6 weather podcasts this month. You can visit weatherpodcastmonth.com, find out more, learn more about some of these other great weather podcasts like Weather Hype, Ice Station Houseman, Weather Brains, B Squared, and then with us tonight from the Carolina Weather Group podcast is co-host Chris Jackson. So, Chris, welcome.
Welcome, Chris.
All
Glad to
right.
be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
You got to make sure you sign the waiver form before you came on, because you got to make sure you
I
know
think
what
I
you're
missed
getting
that. You
into.
might want to shoot me another email with that one.
I might have to do that. So, but hey, it's always happy hour here at Stormfront Freaks Bar. Best way to introduce our co-hosts and also kind of let you know that we kind of like to have fun around here is to find out what everybody's drinking. So I'm going to start with our intern here this spring, Morgan Clarks from Ohio State University. It's good to have you back. What are you drinking tonight, Morgan?
Today I'm actually double fisting, starting off with a LaCroix lime.
Wow.
Okay.
It's non-alcoholic lime LaCroix. And then Braxton Brewing Company, Grater's ice cream. My Cincinnati guys know what's up with that. The black raspberry chocolate chip flavor. They made it into a milk stout.
No.
Wow.
Drink it, sipping
Really?
on that
I've never
today.
even heard of that.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep. Braxton's out of Northern Kentucky there. Good place.
Covington, yeah.
Yep. So,
Found
all
it
right.
at Kroger.
Awesome. MJ, what are you drinking tonight?
We got a Michelob Amber Bock tonight.
Keeping it
All
simple.
right.
Keeping it simple. Yep.
That's good. Maz, what do we got?
So Morgan, is that alcoholic beverage?
The beer, yes.
Yeah?
The LaCroix,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so I figured the LaCroix. In 40 days, I'm gonna have one of those.
Oh,
Oh,
40
did you
days.
give it up for Lynn?
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
I am beverageless. Beverageless?
Wow.
Anyway.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at y'all going, oh, I should have
All
given
right,
up
that's
something
He's
else.
getting mad,
Praise
I
the
can
Lord.
tell.
we
Yeah.
can't have him on the show for another
So
40
I'm
days.
grumpy. No.
He's getting irritated.
All right, Dina.
Already.
Dina, what are you drinking tonight?
I
gal?
have some
What
of
do you
that
got?
old smoky blackberry moonshine when you put a lot of like cranberry juice and stuff in it. It's so good.
Good.
Tasty, and it's mellows you right out.
Nice.
We need you to do a breathalyzer as the show goes on.
I'm not driving.
That's true. And then Chris Jackson. I really didn't kind of tell you how we do things around Stormfront Freaks podcast, but what are you drinking tonight?
It's all good as long as we got beer. I got a Sweetwater Blue here in Blue,
All right.
Atlanta.
Attaboy.
Perfect.
Nice.
Attaboy. Welcome. You belong with the team now. You're in.
I appreciate it.
Brad, I'm going to go ahead and ask you anyway. Our guest. You happen to bring anything with you tonight?
Well, I've got a glass of water, but not just that. I do, within distance reach, have a little Sierra Nevada, some Torpedo. They've got a new brewery
There you
there in Chris in the Carolinas, there in Arden, actually. So also, of course, in California, but the Carolina one's really beautiful there.
Very nice. Well, let's do this. We'll Brad, let's give you a real good, much better introduction than that. But I'll turn over to Dina.
All right, I'll do my best. All right, tonight we welcome Brad Sowder. He's the morning meteorologist from Fox 29 in San Antonio, Texas. He's an Emmy Award-winning severe weather expert. Recently spent several years forecasting morning weather in Oklahoma City, and was a featured storm chaser during severe weather. He is one of the only meteorologists that has chased tornadoes from a helicopter. Before Oklahoma, Brad forecasted for a number of years in Colorado. Brad is originally from Virginia and is an atmospheric science graduate from the University of North Carolina, Asheville. So, Brad, you've been all over. Most meteorologists that I meet have moved multiple times. But really, you've lived in Virginia, you've had Colorado in winter weather, and you've had Oklahoma City and San Antonio. Like, what's the craziest weather you've ever seen?
Wow. Okay. Well, you've got a taste for all of that a little bit. I guess, for me, it's probably Colorado probably had the craziest day-to-day change. But when you come to the most extreme, Oklahoma, obviously, just with insane characteristics of severe weather. I mean, that, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
I always wonder, yeah. Well, I always wonder because people say, sometimes I expect them just to say some tornado, and then they'll be like, oh, it was an ice storm, or it was this. So it's definitely always a different answer.
It is. Oklahoma doesn't have quite the variety that Colorado has. So there's more weather in Colorado. Oklahoma, you have 3 months of craziness, maybe less than that, but the potential is always there. In Colorado, you go from having a blizzard one day to 85 degrees the next day and back to another blizzard again. There's a lot more day-to-day change.
You know, with the marijuana ban lifted, some more of everything in Colorado now, isn't there?
I guess they have to do whatever to
Maybe nobody
smooth out the
cares.
weather. You know, it needs something to relax them a little bit, maybe.
So what was the reason? Why'd you move from Oklahoma City to San Antonio?
Well, you know, being in Oklahoma for 5 or 6 years, it's busy. When it's real busy, it's real busy. We moved there at the end of 2012. My family, my daughter. I didn't get to see as much of them as I would like to, honestly. So it's almost like, in order to appreciate life, in order to be able to storm chase more on a when you want to basis, I had to kind of get away from it all. It's kind of like the person that lives in a vacation town never really gets to vacation, you know, because they're always there. So kind of had to pull back a little bit, something a little more stable, you know, away from it all, and just try something a little different.
How different is forecasting in San Antonio compared to Oklahoma City? Much different?
Well, San Antonio's very, very quiet. You know, there's not a lot of day-to-day variation. So really the move for us to San Antonio was one to where I can have more of an expected regular schedule, but still, when severe weather season comes around, you know, chasing in Texas. And that's what we're going to be doing here with the station, is I'm going to try to do some of the similar things that we did in Oklahoma, where I would do morning weather and then go out and chase on the bigger weather days, or have somebody fill in as well, just to be able to get out there.
You prefer to just be more of a lazy forecaster, is kind of what you're saying.
I think
right?
so.
I
think so. Yeah. After 2013 in Oklahoma being my first season, that was, you know, baptism by fire there. And then just to be able to try something a little less extreme. You know, I don't necessarily like the severe weather coming to my house.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about San Antonio is, one, it's very hot. It gets so hot there. And two, San Antonio floods very easily. When there's a lot of rain, they flood all the time.
No doubt. There are more low water crossings here than anywhere else. Some people call this the flash flooding capital of the country. And, you know, there's a big responsibility in that. So either you have a flood, or you have a drought, or it's just hot as heck. But not quite as many extremes, I would say.
Do we know who actually has the flash flood capital?
Well, you know, here in this area, right under the soil, about 18 inches down, you have this limestone bed. I mean, there's tons of limestone. So with the hill country on the north side, and as you make your way up towards Austin, you get 2 inches of rain, and once it hits that solid rock, it just runs right off. The ground doesn't hold that much water. So when it all runs downhill, it's like a giant parking lot, if you will, for hundreds of square miles. So flooding gets really bad really quickly. And there's a ton of people obviously moving into this area, and not everybody gets the warning. And everybody's in a hurry, and they try to get to where they're going. And, you know, unfortunately, things happen.
So how many weather hits do you have a day? Because mornings is insane.
It's a lot. We start our Fox morning broadcast at 5 a.m. and it runs till 9 a.m. So it's a 4-hour show. And then we come back on from 11 to noon. So I can't even figure it all out.
Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot.
5 hours of shows.
Yeah.
And every 5 or 10 minutes a weatherhead. So it is a lot. It is a lot for sure.
You need to ask for a raise.
Yeah, really. So I got to tell you something, Brad. I remember back in 1986. I remember the day because we were actually watching TV. This was in Fridley, Minnesota, and there was a KARE 11. It was I think it was the NBC station. And
Correct.
MJ, you might remember this.
Correct.
But Max Mesmer was a helicopter pilot, and I had read a little bit after the fact, but they were up in the air trying to shoot some parade or something that was going on near the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and there was a tornado. And so they left the parade to go film the tornado. And so from their helicopter, and he was so here's the pilot is the live reporter, and then he had a cameraman in the back. But I remember watching that we were watching it live when it
Yes.
was happening.
Yep.
This helicopter image filming a tornado. So when I saw that you had chased tornadoes in a helicopter, I'm like, God, I remember that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I guess tell us a little what that's all about.
It's scary.
I can only imagine the turbulence. Oh my God.
Oh, it's yeah, and we, with all the equipment, weight in the chopper, you can't take another camera person. So we were in a Bell Ranger, and I was running the cameras in the back, so I had to sit in the back seat. So most of my view were the screens, and you would forget that I'm next to the storm at 2,000 feet because you're still kind of watching it through a screen. You would only remember that, holy crap, I'm right by this door when you start moving around a little bit and your pilot's saying, hey, I feel the inflow. It feels like it's pulling us in. I'm like, well, we can't be right here,
We'll go the other way.
Danger.
So, visibility is an issue. I feel like on the ground you can see more. I think the advantage of the chopper is, of course, you have a great camera. You don't have any trees or anything obstructing your view. You can get somewhere a lot quicker. You don't have to worry about traffic necessarily. But on a storm day, it's hazy, it's humid, and you can only see so far before kind of the visibility is obscured. At the ground level, you can get a lot closer, too close, and you can't get all that close. Yeah, exactly. And drive out of it, hopefully. But yeah, you can't get in the hail core. You can't get in the rear. You can't go behind the storm in a chopper because the wind is pushing down. Rear flank downdraft, that'll ground a chopper or a plane. So there's a much more limited area where you can be.
Where's the fun in that? If you can't do this, and you can't do that.
Come on, if you're tough, you get in the rear flank downdraft.
Well, maybe in a car, but not at a chopper. Yeah, it's, what, I prefer being in a vehicle, so you can stop at a gas station and grab a drink.
I like it.
But I did it for a couple years, and it's just kind of one of those boxes that say, all right, I've tried that, done that.
How many tours did you see? I mean, how often were you guys able to get close?
My first tornado actually from the chopper was it was March 29th, I think, 2014, and it was 1 year after the Moore tornado, where it occurred in Moore. Actually, it was an EF2, and it was kind of the first test where, all right, we just had the F5, in 2013. Now we have this EF2 coming in. So, yeah, it was right back in that corridor. So that was the first tornado from the chopper. I feel like it's harder to see from the chopper, actually, because you are so limited on where you can be.
You're absolutely right. I can tell you, I fly airplanes also in South Carolina. So in the summertime, you got 70-degree dew points here, and on a good day, even though it might be clear, the visibility aloft might only be 5 to 7, 8 miles, just because of the humid air.
Yeah, exactly. Or on a day where the bases are so low on the storms, they're scraping, just a few hundred feet off the ground. So can't even be anywhere close to that.
You guys are crazy. Like, well, what's next? Like hang glider in a tornado or something?
I'm so excited. We got all these aviation enthusiasts too.
Absolutely.
That was my beginnings too.
I'm more at home in the air than I am on the ground. Not gonna lie.
Good.
Wow. So Brad, tell us a little bit then. What are the chase opportunities like down in San Antonio? What have you seen? Have you had a full season down there yet?
2018 is pretty quiet
Okay.
nationwide. I didn't do any chasing in 2018. I mean,
Okay.
Texas was quiet, Oklahoma was quiet. This season, I think we're going to have, just based on obviously it can't be any quieter than last year. It's going to be busier this year. It's a little bit of a slow start, but we just saw what happened, obviously, in Dixie Alley. It's all going to shift. We know that the planes open up in April and in May. So I am planning on getting out in April and May. San Antonio, you've got to go north of San Antonio, just north of the Hill Country. You get up just north of Austin, up into the Waco area, of course, and all of Central Texas. You get a lot busier there, and then of course, the Panhandle, Texas. So yeah, I do plan on getting out there quite a bit, as long as I'm kind of one of the backyard chasers, as long as it's close.
Okay.
So does your market reach up that far to Waco, Austin, that area? Or?
So things have changed a lot market-wise in television. Every year previous, within the last couple of years, markets are getting blurred. The boundaries on where a market starts and where it stops are kind of going away. In fact, FCC just last year changed the law, saying that you don't even have to be in the market to broadcast within that, meaning that markets can merge. You can have, and I think it's a little bit unfortunate in a lot of areas where the traditional mold is other markets are going to gobble up each other. I think stations are going to become more regional. I work for Sinclair Broadcast Group, of course, a corporation that is really expanding. And since it's a corporation, they like to do everything as efficiently as possible. So the Sinclair has markets in Austin and in Waco and other markets in Texas that aren't as large as San Antonio. We have a lot more resources. So we're going to be able to provide some of the tools we have and serve some of those other markets.
If you want to raise, start doing a forecast for Seattle and just say that's part of our market now.
There you go.
Well, do you think these markets are going to gobble up the other ones and just they're going to be gone? Or
with the whole cheaper is more mentality, just when it comes to everyone's trying to find a way to maximize resources, if you will, where we love automation and we love computers, but we're training all these computers and automation to take our jobs away from us, right? With every sector, everywhere. So we love the computers, but they also are replacing jobs. So I think every sector kind of has that going on in this day and age of just, corporate America. But you kind of have to do that to survive as well. You saw what just happened to Staples, JCPenney. It was around our whole life, pennies, or Sears, things that have been the way they aren't going to stay the way they are. And TV is one of those things.
How do you see yourself having to adapt a little bit? Where do you see yourself having to find a niche?
You really have to keep an open mind and try everything you can think of. You do the chasing in the helicopter, you do school visits, you do webcasts, you build up your social media following. It's almost continuing to throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. And I don't think we always know what's going to happen tomorrow. Just like with social media, what platform rises from the dust while the other one comes down? What happens with broadcasting? I think the clearer picture is still not quite there. I think it's more in focus now than it was a couple years ago. I feel as though a lot of broadcasting is going to be a lot more specific and a lot more targeted. You're not going to be forced to watch the severe weather coverage if you're not affected by it on TV. Right now, you interrupt somebody's show, somebody that's not in the warning, put it back on, put it back on. I think that's going to get better.
Do you have to do a lot of digital hits, or do they just clip your TV stuff?
So we will clip, obviously, what's happening on air. I think really it comes down to what's the weather event. Is it a day-to-day weather where maybe you don't need a meteorologist that day? You could ask your phone, what's the weather going to be like? It's sunny and 70. Okay. But I think people now tune in when there's something happening, when there is a storm, when there is a warning. You want to be there for that always. And I think you do more in those events. And I think people will respond to that. So I think it's more coming down to an on-demand type of of product that people want.
And
because yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to speak as like, the younger generation that has always had the internet. I feel like I agree with you that we do actually pay attention more when stuff is actually happening, when there are events, because I don't have cable. I don't have, the local channels. All I have are like, I have a Roku TV, and so I won't really watch the weather. I'll look at different, I'm a little different meteorologist looking at models and stuff, but my friends, they trust their phones more. And if something happens, they'll look at the local meteorologists that they follow on Facebook, maybe. So, you still have an impact, and I'm sure as time goes by, we'll adapt to cable and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Exactly.
I was going to say on that note, Brad, what's some advice, knowing how you've even had to adapt since you've come into the industry? What's some advice you can give students or other people that might be looking to get into TV meteorology? What could you tell them on what they can do to help them here as we're moving forward?
I wouldn't focus so much necessarily on television or focus on whatever platform it may be, but I also go and I try to communicate and tell students that maybe are thinking a weather service career or a research career, and encourage them to be really good at communicating face to face, camera to camera, because even if you think you're just going to be more of a research and you're not so comfortable talking in front of people, well, you can always better yourself doing that. And the more you can leverage being comfortable in front of people, the better opportunities you will have, because there's definitely going to be a market of just good communicators and good people that are communicating warnings and information face to face. We don't want a robot. We don't want Alexa needs a face, right? Hopefully I didn't set any of your devices off. She needs a face. Otherwise she would have replaced people that bobbed their head a long time ago.
People that bob their head all the time.
Yeah.
Well, we'll tell you what, we're going to do this. We're going to take a short break. Go ahead and refill your drink and check out our tracker chat segment with the Tornado Trackers. They're discussing camera equipment. We'll be right back. All right, and those of you that are watching our Stormfront Freaks Raw, this is now where if you were listening to our edited version, you would hear the Tornado Tracker segment. You won't hear it here on Stormfront Freaks Raw, so just give you a heads up. Another reason to go find us on your favorite podcast app.
In the meantime, I've got to tell Alexa to stop ordering plates. Thanks, Brad.
Sure.
Plates.
So are you just not drinking alcoholic beverages, Maz?
Can you tell?
You're a little grumpy.
You're different. Yeah, you're a little grumpy. That's good.
I don't have to take that from you.
So Chris, you kind of know this because you Carolina Weather Group's got a lot of people on it too. But just a reminder, and Morgan, you're figuring it out. If you want to ask or say something, you kind of just have to speak up and step on people's toes.
Yep,
that's how it works.
In the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't wait for it to be quiet. Just sometimes you gotta, and if that means jumping on Brad's toes like I did a couple times, hey, that's what you got to do.
That's what happens.
That's what you
Jump
gotta
all the way to Texas.
It's all good stuff. Brad,
okay.
did you cover any of the flooding of the New Braunfels River?
Oh gosh, yeah. New Braunfels. That what was the biggest flood there was what? I think about a year or so before I got here. Was it a couple years ago?
Right.
Wow. And then of course the flooding this past year up closer to Austin, where the bridges were being wiped out. It's just amazing some of the rainfall rates. 20 inches of rain, in 24 hours.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's what we
it
had
really
here.
is.
Also.
Oh yeah. Now where are you, Chris? Where in Carolinas?
I'm right in Columbia in South Carolina.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's what we'll do. So we'll come back to our question of the week, which is basically talking about, we'll bring up the Lee County tornado But I guess I want, and this is everybody can pitch in on this. This isn't just for Brad, but to kind of talk a little bit about what do you think about what more can we do when it comes to trying to save lives in a tornado event with all the technology that we now have and everything else, and talking about, is there still things that we can do? If so, what are they? What do you guys think they are? So we'll get into that conversation, and then I will wrap that up at some point, and we'll jump to lightning round. Brad will play a little game show, and then we'll take a break right after that. Anybody have questions?
Nope.
All righty. Here we go. So let's do this again in 3, 2. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're with Fox San Antonio morning meteorologist and chaser Brad Sowder. We're going to jump to our question of the week. And, there hasn't been a major EF4, EF5 tornado or deaths from a tornado all of last year in 2018. And the first EF4 that we have here in 2019 causes 23 deaths in Lee County, Alabama recently. So I wanted to kind of ask all the freaks and our guests, what more can be done? Okay, there's only been 100 deaths in a year 4 times since 1980. Okay, so in the last 39 years, there's only been 4 years that we've had more than 100 tornado deaths. But that has happened 16 times in the previous 39 years, from 1940 to 1979. So there is obviously an improvement going on here, but can there be anything else? Are we at that point to where it's like, you know what, man, we're doing everything? And Brad, I'm going to start with you, kind of get your feedback on that a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, this latest storm, this devastating news, obviously, to be able to hear that that many people lost their lives. We know that there are going to be tornadoes that are going to be that strong and stronger and hitting more and more populated areas as urban expansion continues. We know that. What is so hard is to know that these people, I've been reading a lot of the reports, were in their homes. They weren't in cars. They weren't storm chasing. They were in homes. Now, we know this is a very rural part of the country. It's way out there. This wasn't a big city in Lee County. The homes, most of those, the majority of them seem to be modular mobile homes, not stick built. They're not as strong. I don't know necessarily if the warning process can get much better than it is. Lead time on warnings are good. We can always do better with that. I'm thinking now, from my point of view, is making sure people have a safe place. That if they're going to have a mobile home in Alabama, Dixie Alley, Tornado Alley, that within walking distance, they have a safe shelter. And they know how to get in it. And once they get the warning, they have somewhere to go. The people that died, they probably got the warning. They probably did, but
and just had no place to go.
They had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here quick, and then Morgan and whoever go ahead. But that was exactly what I was going to say. I said as I looked at and read about some of the things, I looked at how many of the people were in the manufactured homes and without a basement, because you could see even in the reports that were done about the homes that had been pulled up off the foundation. And of course, the foundation of a mobile home is not much. And even some of the talking to some of the survivors who talked about being in their bathroom, which is like the most interior place they could go. And they just hunkered down and hoped that was because that's the only place they could go. So I think you're right. I think they were getting the warnings. And I will say that a couple of our viewers on the chat chimed in with exactly the same thing too. So I think you hit on it right there.
There's been a ton of scientific research coming out, and they showed maps about how many manufactured homes were in the area. And there was a lot of people who did. They did what they were supposed to. They went inside, they got in the most interior room or a closet, and that wasn't good enough. And Brad, you had mentioned, getting to a safe shelter, but what if their lead time is not enough. I mean, just the day after, I think on Monday or 2 days after, we talked to a storm chaser that he was coming from, I think, Columbus, Georgia, and heading west to get to that storm. And he said it was amazing that, he came up on this and there's nowhere for these people to go. They hunker down, but what do you do? I mean, there's been so much talk in the industry about safety. Would you stay in the mobile home, or would you get out and get in a ditch? Would you go in your car? There's really no good answer.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't get in a ditch. I wouldn't stay in a mobile home. What I've always told people in the past, where they say, well, what do you do? What do you do? And my advice has been, well, first of all, this time of year, if you are in a tornado prone area, we have a responsibility to kind of be aware of when it's a storm day. It's today a storm day, watch the weather forecast. Okay, it's not, well, then go about your business. If it's a storm day, though, then pay attention to the warning or the window of when the storms could come, and then don't be where you can't get to somewhere safe. If it requires to go stay with a friend or a family member, or go to the shopping mall. I've even told people to do that before. They're worried about getting hit in their car. We'll park in the parking garage at a mall, or go to a store that has a safe place. Find somewhere where you can be, where if you need to get shelter, you can. And that's still a really difficult thing to accomplish, though. The best answer is for people to have a shelter close by, and if they can't afford it, some sort of community programs to be able to install these.
I would think at this point there has been enough, and again, maybe not, but I would think that one of the biggest things that it seems everyone should know is that manufactured homes, mobile homes, are not safe in tornadoes. And so, but the fact is people are still in them when tornadoes are coming. So the issue, whether it's lead time or it's communication, and I'll throw this out a little bit, with the changing demographics of our country, do we need to do a better job from a communication standpoint with different languages? I would say especially that, because I have personal experience. Weather radios obviously can work, but they don't work everywhere. And especially in some of these backwater areas, hilly areas, they don't get the signal to work. And so I don't know that weather radios are the answer for everything either, but I think I'd agree, it's a communication, and it's a having access to shelters. But what do you guys think about communication wise and languages?
Definitely.
Definitely
communication. I think it's multifaceted. For you guys, you might not be aware, I was actually out chasing that same storm on Sunday. And, I was all across between Columbus, Eufaula, and all the way down toward Albany later in the day. But, that place is really, really rural. And you may be an hour from the closest town. I know for a solid hour and a half, Sunday evening, I didn't have any cell service, or Saturday, the day of the tornado, but I had no cell service whatsoever. And, I'm just at the mercy of the sky at that point, just knowing what the storms are doing. At one point, I was surrounded by 9 tornado warned storms within like 30 miles. It was just crazy. But, the communication is definitely important, and being able to communicate in times of non-severe weather and actually, have effective communication and build that trust with your viewers and the people that may follow you. And that way, when the time comes along to sound the alarm, they do listen to you.
Chris, what was the time of day that you were tracking everything?
I stayed at the Renaissance Hotel at Hartsfield Jackson the night before, and left out of there, probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, went straight down to Columbus and hit the warm front in Columbus, went from 62 to 73 degrees in about 9 miles.
Wow.
It was pretty impressive. Yeah. And from there, I was down there the rest of the day.
The language, when you guys talk about the language, I think that's important, because a lot of times on this show, we've talked about how much sometimes things get too hyped, or, it's all sounds the same to people. And we were talking even at work today about the severe threat we have on this Saturday. is it going to be a big outbreak or is it going to be a bust? And that's the problem. You could hype it up, and I'm not one to hype. I'm probably the opposite. Like, it's going to have to be a big deal for me to get all bent out of shape about it. But you think about this, if you get everybody wound up and they believe you, and then it fizzles, or there's a cap, or there's too much convection in the morning and too much cloud cover, and it doesn't happen, people are like, oh, guys.
And that's the tough part, I think, Dina, is being able to not just communicate the risk, but communicate what could be the proverbial fly in the ointment. What could mess this up, and that way they really start. Your people start to understand, well, what are the things in play here, because the weather's science and it's complicated. It's never clear.
Yep.
Well, and losing cell service, if you're there, I mean, you think about it, like Morgan saying, hey, we rely on our cell phones.
Right.
But I'm sure there are a lot of places where cell service is just not very good.
Oh, it was non-existent in South Central Georgia, east of Albany and east of 77. I mean, I-75. There was like 5 or 6 towns I went through. I had no cell service, and I got AT&T.
Yeah.
But they're glad you just said that.
AT&T plug there. We got ourselves a new sponsor.
Don't come to me.
What else? Anybody else have some comments on that? Are there still opportunities to try and save lives, or have we kind of reached the limit of how much we can do?
We can do better with communication. We can, especially areas that don't have the cell service, to be able to get to them. Absolutely. We also have to, when you have a killer tornado that's coming, sometimes you can hear it coming. Okay. And that'll give you a lead time of a couple of minutes. I know that's not a lot, but if you have somewhere, if you had 2 minutes to be able to run out and get into a shelter, that would be possibly enough lead time to save your life. When it comes to communication, sometimes people will hear that tornado and they think, well, this is it. It's over for me. I don't have a below ground shelter, or I can't survive in this mobile home. That's not true. People can survive, not necessarily in a mobile home, but they can survive in a stick-built home even during the strongest tornadoes. But they're going to need somewhere at least better than a vehicle, or a mobile home is a vehicle. They need somewhere that is safer to be. Because communication is only so much. I've directly spoken to people saying, hey, there's a tornado coming right here. I'm out chasing. You have about 5 or 10 minutes. Where is your safe place? And they say, well, I don't know. And they go back in and crack open a beer and didn't even come back out of their house. We had to go. So they didn't take any action at all, even though they can't get better communication than that. If they had a shelter, well, maybe they'd have a couple extra minutes. It's hard. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Well, the thing is, I feel that people don't have the self-efficacy. They think that they can't. There's no shelter. I can't go to the interior of a bathroom because it's not going to work out. So they just kind of wait it out. I'm actually writing a paper in one of my communication classes about, relating it to weather, making it about severe storms and how people perceive communication efforts. And I think if we were to, and a lot of people do, and a lot of broadcast meteorologists do this, they provide people with the correct procedures. It's just some people, they don't think it applies to them, or they've lived through it. They've, there's been an F4 like a mile outside my house and my house is still standing, and they think that it's not going to be a big deal. I watched, what was it? House Hunters International. They said a hurricane destroyed their vacation home. They were looking for a new vacation home. They're like, well, a hurricane's not going to hit the same place twice. Do you know where hurricane? They're in the same area.
I'd like to jump in here a little bit. Something that I've seen a lot, of course, over the southeast of the Carolinas, is we have a lot of people that's moved down here from other parts of the country, and as silly as this may sound, they literally have no clue where they are on a map. You know, they look at a map and they don't know where they're at. And that's something that I've been trying to work on from my end, for the last couple of years.
And I think that's awesome. And hey, guys, I'm sorry I'm late. I just got down here. You know, I'm all for you're responsible for your life. And I sometimes have a hard time thinking that we need to, and I'm all for helping people and trying to get them ways to be notified. But what happened to them taking responsibility for finding a way to be notified? Or I don't know. Sometimes it just bothers me. I think sometimes people, no matter what you do for them, they're just not going to listen or do it. I think to advocate for them to, take responsibility for them and their families, and why not try to get them to do it that way? I don't know.
I totally agree with you. A lot of people,
it drives me crazy.
They have apps and everything else that tells them everything they need to do for the day, tells them the weather, tells them the time, if someone messaged you. And I think there's a lot of people that look for an app that tells them they're going to be okay and try to get the confirmation bias in their head.
Yeah.
They want to hear what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Not what they want to hear. They ignore it.
But why aren't they trying to, they know they live in the South. They know there's tornadoes. They know it's the season. Why aren't they being proactive and trying to figure out a way to be notified?
Do you think that's changed, Kim? Do you think that's changed over time, gotten better, gotten worse, or it's just about the same as it's always been?
I think it's the same.
I
think it's the same.
It's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
That's where the broadcast meteorologists, come in and they build the trust with the community, and people that live in these rural areas, they're going to be the ones watching TV and not relying on their cell phones because they don't have data. And if you trust your local meteorologist and they're telling you, hey, storm's coming, this is what you got to do, then they're going to do it. And sometimes they don't do it, but
just to give you guys another angle about me, I spent 15 years of my life as a professional firefighter here in Columbia. And during the 2015 floods, I was a swiftwater rescue instructor and technical rescue and urban search and rescue stuff. But we rescued 196 people in 48 hours, me and about 20 other people. And the resounding answer that most everyone we plucked out of their houses, cars, et cetera, they didn't think it would happen to them.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the warning was there. The warning was there 3 days in advance. It's just like, what more can we do?
Exactly.
Look at how much video we show nowadays. I mean, not only are we giving them the warnings and the forecast, but we're showing them exactly what could happen. And people just don't. I think it's just that people don't think it's going to happen to them. It's the same reason people drive through a flood. It won't happen to me.
Well, I'll say this. I think the data proves that what has been done has gotten better. There have been fewer deaths. There have been, so I would say the communication's better. I would say the access to shelters has probably gotten better. I think certainly that could get a lot better. I believe the communication's gotten better, but I think there's room for improvement there. But I would say the good news is certainly things have gotten better with technology and everything that we've been doing, and hopefully we'll keep going in that direction. But we want to know what you think about that. You can always reach us via social media on Facebook or Twitter. Just search Stormfront Freaks. Let us know your thoughts, or drop us an email at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com. And Brad, how can our listeners and viewers, how can they follow you, reach you?
Yeah, so whether your cup of tea is Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, just search for meteorologist Brad Sowder on one of those. I honestly don't even remember all of my little handles, but usually just type in the name and boom, it'll hopefully pop up.
It's magic. It's always magic. Well, hey, that's the sound. It is time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of flashy questions we always have with our guests. We invite you to play along with us as well. Tonight, we're going to play something. We're calling it Tech Now. Tech Now. So here's the scoop, Brad. I understand you think you're pretty good at technology, or you know a lot about technology. Is that?
I like it. I spend a lot of money on it.
A lot of
He's
money.
the guy that does all the hooking up of TVs and computers, right? I bet.
Yeah, I was doing that today. Yeah.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do, Brad. You're gonna play along here, and we always invite our freaks, our co-hosts. They're certainly welcome to chime in and try and steer you to the right direction. But I'm going to give you two pieces of technology, and you have to tell me which one is technology now, tech now, and which one is a technology that hasn't quite yet been developed and made available to the public. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
the ones that are available now are from the Consumer Electronics Show of 2019. So these were just introduced at the beginning of the year. So they are out there. So you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So here's what we're going to start with. First two. One piece of technology is a rollable television. So it's a television that rolls up into a roll, and it's automated. You push a button, and it comes out of the roll, comes right out of the roll.
LG, yeah.
The second one is a heart monitoring T-shirt. So it's a T-shirt you wear that can help monitor your arrhythmia and heart rhythms, especially if you happen to have, from a precautionary standpoint, any issues there. So the question is which one is tech now compared to which one is not now?
Well, I saw that LG rollable TV. I didn't get to go to the
Wait, it rolls
consumer show.
up? It rolls up like in a, oh my God.
So is that your
Yeah, it
answer, is the
rolls.
rollable TV?
Yeah, that's available now. Yeah.
All right, you would
There
be
you go.
correct. And it actually is LG, so that's pretty impressive. You got that.
for you.
All right, here's the next one. So this piece of technology is actually, so everyone knows about virtual reality. That is a thing. But this is virtual reality that now is sold by a car manufacturer. And the kids in the back seat can basically put on the Oculus Rifts or whatever the virtual reality headset is. And whatever it's showing goes along with the speed and the stopping and the turning of the vehicle. So you're actually, while you're riding in the car with mom and dad or whoever it might be, you can see this virtual reality that's moving along with the speed and location of your car. So that's number one.
Get sick there.
Number two is using coffee grounds. So everybody drinks a lot of coffee. There's a worldwide issue. It's a worldwide thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
So there's a lot of coffee grounds. So they talk about coffee waste. And so this piece of technology actually uses those coffee grounds for biofuel and creates fuel. To me, this reminds me certainly of Back to the Future, right? And shoving that stuff in the. So one of those is technology now, and one is technology that's not quite here yet.
Wow. Well, I don't know much about VR. I haven't used it, but so I'm just going to have to stab at this. I'll say that the coffee grounds are now.
Coffee grounds now.
Oh,
That's correct.
That's Mr. Fusion.
That is on the way, but it is not here now. So Audi, the vehicle manufacturer, and Disney has gotten together to do these VR reality things while you're riding in the car. That was introduced. So, all right, here we go. So you're one and one. Next one is so forest fires, putting out forest fires using drones. So using drone technology, which obviously is very popular. But what these drones can do is now fly to these forest fires, and using sound, they can use sound waves to help put out and redirect the fires because it can extinguish the oxygen and all that kind of stuff using blasts of sound waves. The other piece of technology is smartwatch, which that is a piece of technology now, but this is a smartwatch that's powered. Everyone's got battery issues, right? This is a smartwatch that is powered by the heat from your body, powers it and keeps it going. So which of those is tech now and which is not now?
Oh,
Boy, they both sound like
Wow.
Number two.
Can I phone a friend on this one?
Well, I always say the freaks can always jump in and give their feedback.
Let's take this one here.
Number two.
I don't know.
So do you guys think it's the heat-powered smartwatch or the
I'm gonna
sound
taste the
wave
drone.
drones?
Yeah, I'm going drone.
Sound wave drones.
Go on the
The
watch.
drone one
Yeah.
had the most detail.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You're
right.
looking into it too much.
Hey, I got the last one right because
Okay.
it had all that detail.
All right, so there you go. What do you think, Brad?
I'll go with my panel here, and we'll say drones.
Drones?
Oh,
That is correct.
Sorry,
Number
sorry.
It
two.
is the solar and body heat powered smartwatch.
Oh no, you didn't say
Wow.
solar. If you just
Yeah,
said
that
that,
solar
No,
changed
I,
the game a little bit.
I know.
That changes
That's
it.
all right. It's still heat. I didn't add that on purpose.
Brad's
It's-
never
it's
been here, so he
also
knows
powered.
the first rule is to not listen to the freaks. But you know.
That's right.
Okay. That's true. All right. So here we go. We got two more. So next one. So this is we talked earlier. Someone was talking about a breathalyzer. Who was that?
I was me. I was
Okay. So all right. So this is a vehicle. It's basically a breathalyzer vehicle that can detect the levels of alcohol in the air when you get into your car, and also can detect on sensors on the steering wheel. Your blood can detect your blood levels and alcohol levels through the steering wheel.
You have to
And
be
if it
bleeding for that?
Nope. It's just like how your heart rate monitor can detect all that stuff. So, but it won't start the car obviously if the levels are too high. So that's one piece of tech. The second one is it's a skin wand that you basically can put across your face. You're in TV, right? This might be something up your alley. So it's a skin wand you put across your face, and it can detect little micro blemishes. And when it sees a micro blemish, it can put a little bit of droplet of makeup on that spot.
Oh,
And so when you're done doing this, you all look good and you're
Wow.
perfect skin. So which one of those is
Hey.
tech now and which is tech not yet?
oh boy.
oh,
Um,
jeez.
So, what was the first one again?
It was the breathalyzer. I'll just call it a
Breathalyzer,
breathalyzer
yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Breathalyzer car or a
I
skin
remember hearing
wand.
about the breathalyzer car. I think I remember hearing about that. I think that was one of the stories from the show. So let's go with that one, right?
You're
Was
gonna
that
go
in court?
Okay, ready?
Was that in court?
That would be
Oh.
incorrect.
No way.
Now, I have heard of this. I have heard of a vehicle where you can connect like a breathalyzer and blow
Oh, yeah.
in it, and then it,
Yeah,
it
I've heard of
won't
that.
start or
No,
something.
wait, did you
This
make
is
that
a
up?
car where it's all built in. So that is not active yet. The one that is active is the skin wand that detects little
That
things
sounds
and
very odd. I'm just going to say it.
well, it's
Wow.
there. It's there.
It's like
So
one of those
someone thinks it's
mirrors
gonna
where
sell.
you unnaturally look so closely at yourself that nobody would ever see you. It makes you look ridiculous.
All right, last
It
one. Let's
depresses
see.
you.
Let's see if we can finish on a high note. Last one. So this piece of tech, we're going back to the smartwatch, but it's a smartwatch that now can actually and officially measure your blood pressure because it has a miniature blood pressure cuff in the watch band. So that's one piece of tech. The other one is now being able to use how cybersecurity and with passwords and all that kind of stuff. And now Facebook has the face detection, right? Or not Facebook, but Apple, right? And can open your phone with face detection. This is now using brainwave sensors because those are even more unique that it can actually detect your brainwave to open passwords, open other pieces of technology. So which of those is tech now and which of those is tech not yet?
Oh my
I
gosh.
think that other one sounds like Star Trek or something.
hmm
Number one.
I go with one.
Yeah.
Me too. One.
Yep.
Okay, we'll
All
try
right.
the one. I think I've already failed anyway.
You're going with one? That would be correct. All right, well done. So you finished on a strong note, so that's good. No one remembers the previous one. So as far as I'm concerned, you got them all right. So thanks for playing along, Brad. Well done. So hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna take our final break. We've got our new Tornado Talk segment with the story of the 1953 Flint, Michigan F5 tornado, and we'll be right back with some weather fools and weather trollbot 5000. We'll be right back. All right.
Okay.
So well done, Brad. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
I was a little
thank
worried
you.
when you threw out LG on that rollable TV. I'm like,
Well-
oh god, this guy's gonna get all these.
He's gonna get nailed.
I
too
wanted
easy.
that TV, you see.
Wow, how
thought
much
it'd be
are
cool to
those?
have
Do
it
you know?
in your fireplace. You're like a mantle over your fireplace. You could sink it down. You still
Yeah.
have your picture up there. Perfect.
That would be cool.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I
Seen it
can't
all.
believe you can roll video screens
Yeah.
nowadays. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
So
see,
we, like, roll-
Huawei has
OLED or
that.
something?
What's that?
What it's OLED or
It's an
what's
it's an OLED. Yeah.
What does that
OLED.
stand
Yeah,
for?
but it's
Uh,
Sorry, the OLED.
Yeah. Come on, tech boy.
Foldable, rollable TV. Light emitting, I don't know what's the O. So it's light emitting diode, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what the
Yeah,
O is.
yeah. The O is
O
supposed to give you like the better contrast with blacks, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
but OLED's been around. That's not what
Yeah.
makes it rollable. It's a different technology that
Okay.
it's that type of technology, but in a rollable form.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like the foldable phone, I think, too, that
Right.
Yeah.
Huawei announced, or Samsung. Yeah.
Both, I think.
Cool.
Both.
Hey,
Yeah.
Brad, can you do us a favor? Can you do a little plug for us? Say this is morning meteorologist Brad Sowder, Fox 29 San Antonio, or whatever you want to say, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Sure.
Okay.
This is morning meteorologist Brad Sowder from Fox San Antonio, and you're watching the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Okay. Can you also do one that says you're listening to Stormfront Freaks podcast? We'll use them both.
Okay. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Okay. MJ, you can.
I can
split
make that. I can make that
Okay.
work. You bet.
Good.
Magic.
Okay. All right. So, Brad, it's up to you if you want to stick around for the last two segments,
Okay.
which maybe 15 minutes, probably at the most. Are you good?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
It's already past my bedtime, so it's all good.
All right. It doesn't matter at
Me
this
too.
point.
I'm right there with you, Brad.
Yeah,
Another 15, 20.
Yeah.
How was your flight, Kim?
Oh, I drove.
Oh, you drove. Okay.
I drove.
To
Yeah, it
where?
was
Where
good.
are you?
I'm down in southern central Georgia, somewhere down
Okay.
near the
What
Macon
part of
area.
Georgia? Macon.
Down south. Macon.
Yeah.
About
I got
2
to
hours
work
from me.
with Piedmont Healthcare. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm over in Columbia.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
Yeah,
let's do this.
it's a
So
long
we'll
drive.
come back, Maz. We're going to come back to you and weather fools. I have a weather fool. Does anybody else have a weather fool to share?
I do.
I have two from listeners that I'll just describe them quickly. But
Describe. Okay, you can't. They're not showable or.
well,
videoable
I can show them, but
you
it's
can find them.
I can show them. It's just I'll show it then. That's fine. That's
What episode are we?
We're episode 74.
Wow.
So introduce the segment, Weather Fools, what it is. And then I've got a second one I can add then too. That I will not show, but I will. We can talk. We can quick talk.
I'll do
about it real quick.
Dina, MJ, Phil.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I've got Weather Trollbot. Here's my question on that. I've got 3 ones to do. Dina, do you want to talk about yours?
Sure.
Okay. Do you have the tweet or the whatever? You have
Yeah, I
that
do.
information. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you didn't have a response. You didn't respond to him.
No, mainly because I didn't know if he was like talking about me or what, but at some point you're just like, dude, I'm not even gonna.
So here's what I'm gonna have you do. Just say I didn't actually respond, but had I responded on social media, this is kind of what I would have said. But you're on social media, right? This isn't what you were thinking. This is what maybe you would have said. You know what? Just
So
leave
that
it.
would be nice and
Just leave
clean.
it.
You
Yeah,
know what
just,
would
you know
be-
what? Leave it.
You know what may be weird to believe is that we get trolls for the Meteorology Club Facebook.
Oh my
Really?
Really?
God.
Well, you gotta
Somebody,
share that then.
people,
serious. Wow.
yeah, someone messaged about chemtrails and
Oh,
how the
gosh.
government is creating weather, and someone
wow.
else had this whole thing about Santa. That one was way like outlandish. It had something to do with Santa Claus, and I was very very unsure. But every once in a while, we'll get some message about how we're not right,
Careful.
and
Because
we're just students, we're just kids, you know.
He's using the Kringle 3000. That's why.
I guess so.
All right, so
Also,
Dina, I'll have you then share the tweet, but just say I didn't respond, but maybe something
Okay.
like I'd be interested to hear whether Trollbot 5000 thinks I would have thought.
Yeah.
Also, didn't the Trollbot get demoted
Yeah, but
last time she
that,
was on?
that was heat of the moment. That was heat of the moment, and
The sensors.
cooler heads prevailed the next day.
Very kind of you.
So I've got 3 of those, and then I'll turn it over to MJ for the Freak Fan Box. And then we'll close it up. Okay, so basically 2 segments and Fan Box and close it up. All right, MJ, you ready? Or sorry, Maz.
Yes, I forgot.
All right.
Weather Fools, right?
Weather Fools. Introduce the segment.
Yes,
Dina,
Weather
MJ,
Fools.
Phil.
Been so long now.
Dina, MJ,
10
Phil.
minutes.
Okay, here we go in 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. Time now for Weather Fools. This is always an interesting segment that we have. Sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes it's a big question mark, but it's always fun. We'll tell you that much. So Weather Fools, it's when you're finding people that are doing something in a weather phenomena that you're like, you're just dumb, buddy. All right. So to kick us off with that, Dina, you've got one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. This one is funny. I'm going to share my screen because it starts off with this guy on his above ground pool that's frozen because it's been so cold. And it says the word legend is thrown around about too much nowadays. That was the title, but my title would be like, hey, hold my beer. And he's trying to get water out of it. And the whole thing breaks open. All the water goes all over the yard, and the whole top of the water's a block of ice.
Yeah.
And he's almost like surfing on. You saw him pick up his beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw him pick up his beer.
His
So
beer was on the ice, so while he
Wow.
was standing on the pool of ice,
I don't
his
know
beer
why
was
he's
down there, and he
up there. Like he was pulling off the panel. I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish there, but whatever. It's funny. You got to watch it.
Awesome.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that one.
I mean,
All
the
right.
fact that he even was able to stand too, and stay upright.
Right,
That's pretty cool.
what are you trying to
Legend.
even accomplish here?
He should get some kind of an award for that, though, because that's great balance.
Mhm.
All right,
Balance.
MJ, you got some viewer or listener?
I do. I have a couple of viewer or listeners. Let's see. See, now I've got to be able to share screen while I'm doing all this. There we go. And this one could probably work for the Weather Trollbot 5000. But this was Wes Peary from NBC 11 in Atlanta. And he was getting comments like crazy that you might be able to read on there when they were doing a tornado warning. So it says, okay, we get it. Tornado warning. Now please put the golf on full screen.
Oh gosh.
So we were just talking, Brad was talking about this earlier. And then you go further and there's some more and it says, turn this off and let's watch golf. Can you just get back to golf already?
Oh,
this
God.
is just a
Never
pub
read the
grab.
comments.
Put the golf back on. And it just
Not like
keeps
it's the
going.
Super Bowl.
Yes.
In what world is golf more interesting than severe
Right.
weather?
I know.
Well, and then somebody down at the bottom says, and here's the thing, it was the Honda Classic, a significant but not top tier golf tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like Sunday.
Priorities.
So anyway, so that was our friends at Helicity that certified this as a hashtag weather fool.
Caddyshack.
And
Caddyshack
shared that
would
with
have
us.
been a golf one would have been better. Remember that one?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was one, and then I'm sorry, that was that was Helicity, and then Ray Leichner shared another one for us, and this is what it was, and I got to run it back, and you can see that, right? It says must watch successful tornado intercept. So basically, these folks are going to do a Twister style Dorothy deployment in a tornado. And right now they're getting in the car because they want to go drive, toward the tornado. And they will proceed to drive toward the tornado and end up in the middle of the tornado, smashing out their windshield. And it's all the wrong things to do.
In their Toyota Prius.
Yes. And I'll see if I can fast forward a little bit. There you go. And now you can see they're sort of in the middle of it, as you can see the trees move. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
That was the Columbus. No, that was the
Yeah, go
Northeast
ahead.
Mississippi tornado.
Sure. So
Was that you, Chris? In the car?
No, God, no. Absolutely not. I was chasing that. I was chasing that 2 weeks ago. Also, I was down in Philadelphia, Mississippi, south of Columbus.
Likely story.
Yeah.
So there
They
you go.
accomplished something very hard to do, to drive your car. I mean, that's hard to intercept the tornado. They did it.
Give them
They
props.
did it. What's
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Not a good
I don't
idea.
think you want to do that, right? But
Should try it with a helicopter next.
There you go. All right, Phil, what do you got?
All right, so I've got a couple I'm going to share. The first one actually I just saw today was on social media. I think I saw this on Twitter, but there was a drunk driver that was arrested for running into the National Weather Service office in Midland, Texas.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
So
It's just in.
you know, and the comments are always, you know, a lot of these National Weather Service field offices are kind of in out rural areas and things of that
Nowhere-land.
nature. Right. They're not downtown. And so for someone to be drunk and driving and happen to run into a National Weather Service office.
You told me there was going to be a tornado.
Yeah, it's you think of the meme, whatever meme you want, you can find that, and we'll put it in our show notes too, but you can find that picture, and then you can say whatever the heck you want to say about
Here, hold my beer.
about the temperature being off by 2 degrees or whatever it is. The other one I wanted to share with you is pretty funny as well. And since we're still dealing with winter and snowy weather, I thought this would be an appropriate one to show everybody. So this was on. I'm going to pause this, and this was on Twitter. So this is Jack Durkin had a tweet of reporter Laura Perrot or Parrot, Perrot. Anyway, she's from CBS Charlottesville. And she's a reporter. She was getting ready to, I don't know what she's going to report on, obviously snow or something. And while she was sitting there or whatever she's doing, what happened was a snowplow happened to come by. And
Oh.
Oh, whoops.
slammed her with some snow. She got nailed by that snowplow is moving probably 45, 50
It was
miles
going.
an
Holy
hour.
cow.
Dirty snow.
Like it got
Yeah.
their mouth.
Yeah,
dirty,
it's
gross,
the dirty,
snow.
salty. Yeah, it's that kind of snow, and she got sprayed.
I'd like to hear her audio on that.
Wow.
Well, actually, you can, and I'll share that too. But she screams. I don't hear anything after that, but she did scream.
All right. Well, thank you, Phil. So if you want to check those out, you can go to stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 74 show notes, and you can find all of that and more in case you missed those links.
Very good. Okay, hey, let's move on. We got Weather Trollbot 5000 is with us tonight, and I was reminded that last episode we had her on the show. She got demoted to Weather Trollbot 4000, but I commented that cooler heads prevailed, and she's back to Weather Trollbot 5000. So we bought her at a garage sale. She's a robot, and what she's programmed to do is basically we input all these trolls that we find of people trolling our favorite weather people, and we input the responses from these folks and what happened, and Weather Trollbot 5000 will kick out what that weather person was really thinking when they got trolled, and based on that comment or how they responded. And so this is definitely not always for the kiddos. So if you need to fast forward for the next 5-7 minutes, you can do that. But we've got 3 to cover with you tonight and see what Weather Trollbot's going to kick out. And the first one is actually our co-host Dina had a very interesting comment. So tell us what it was and what they said.
So Monday, after all the storms over the weekend, Ari Starsolari, who's been on the show, and I did a podcast for the Weather Channel, what it's like at ground zero of tornado damage. We had Brandon Clement on. He was talking to us. So we sent out the podcast, and this guy replies, "Why do women meteorologists try to talk 5,000 words per minute? They can slow down and we could follow the weather better." And I'm like, is he saying I talk too fast?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think I do.
He's certainly picking out a particular gender that he thinks
Yeah,
is
and I'm
talking
thinking-
too fast.
And I was thinking, because I was the only female on that show, or he just decided to click on that one. But I'm thinking, dude, women
All right.
meteorologists, shut up.
So
I didn't reply. I didn't tell him to shut his pie hole. But
you did.
I didn't even respond to it. But I was like, that's just rude, buddy.
All right, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna plug this into Weather Trollbot 5000 here. Hold on. All right, and then so she's got to go ahead and compute everything. And then what we're gonna do is it's basically what kicks out here is we're gonna have a chance to find out what Dina maybe was really thinking, and this is according to
Oh,
Weather
God.
Trollbot
Oh, this ought to
5000.
be good.
So let's hear.
Here's what Dina Knightley was really thinking. Are you talking to me? Were you even listening to the podcast, or are you just a Russian troll account with 3 followers? You look like 90 years old on your profile photo. So, I am going to assume you did not come up with username Larry115LD. Yep, you're just a fucking Russian troll account. How is the weather in
Wow.
Siberia?
Dina.
Instant block.
Wow.
Instant
Yeah.
block.
Dina.
Wow.
Oh, Dina. Okay.
Ah.
So
I
I
believe
don't know. We actually have you live, so you could tell us if that was anything close to what you were really thinking and if we're
Kinda
getting what we
close.
paid for.
But it's like sometimes you're like, why do you got to be so stupid? Don't
Yeah.
say stuff like that.
All right. Well, that's the first one. All right. So the second one is Ann Campolongo. She's with Fox, Oregon. And she had shown on Twitter, she had shown some blacked out Facebook account. So she didn't actually make this person public. But the comment was, "You are a very beautiful woman. You looked very pretty in that dress this morning. Smoking hot and sexy." And her response was, "This is not okay. I have 2 degrees and I'm not on TV for your viewing pleasure. I am here for a forecast. Totally and completely inappropriate post." So,
Okay.
what do you guys think of that?
Smack.
Yep.
That's a smack.
And I would have to say, I think we've had very similar responses that we've fed Weather Trollbot 5000 from Ginger Z and other people,
Right.
and I'd imagine that happens unfortunately all too often. But let's go ahead. Let's type this in. We're going to type in that response. Okay, and we got to do a little computing. So we got to find out what I guess Ann was really thinking is kind of what the goal is here. And let's see.
I think we
Here's
know.
what Ann Campolongo was really thinking. Oh my God. Do you understand how inappropriate your comment is? You show your inability to communicate with women behind your lame-ass Facebook account. I have earned 2 degrees so I can be on TV to teach and communicate the weather forecast. I am not working hard daily for the morons like you that just care about my looks. I just blocked your slimy ass.
There you go.
There you go.
That's good.
That sounds pretty appropriate to me.
Yeah.
Appropriate response-wise.
Good job, Ann. Good job.
Nice.
Good job. Okay. Last one is a former guest that we've had on the show, James Spann, who's
God.
down in Birmingham, Alabama,
Oh, yeah.
Birmingham. And so this was from at Chance Cassidy. And here's what Chance said. He said, "James Spann is a bad meteorologist who has created the fake idea that he is awesome, and criticizing him means you hate saving lives. Giving updates on TV during a crisis is great. Staying on for hours to show your Twitter feed and gain followers is selfish and manipulative."
Wow.
Jeez.
So that was Chance. That was kind of, that was
Ouch.
wordy.
Uh-huh.
Wordy. Yeah.
That was kind of wordy.
Brutal to stand.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah.
Brad,
I love
you
that.
ever get that? Brad, you get people saying
Everybody's always nice.
you're
I don't
hyping
know
yourself.
What? No.
You've never seen,
Yeah.
no one's ever
People wanna see
complaining
their
that you're
golf
talking
game,
too
right?
long.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right. Show me the
Golf
golf.
game.
Go back to golf.
All right, so here's what this was James' response was just, "Sounds like somebody needs a hug." that was his real response.
job.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
But let's go ahead and plug this in, and we got to find out probably what James was really thinking, because you never know. James can be James, and he deals with people like this all the time.
All the time.
Correct. So all right, so let's find out.
Here's what James Spann was really thinking. How should I respond to this ass bag? Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Wait, how about, looks like someone needs a hug?
There you go. Okay,
Someone needs
so
a hug really tight around the neck.
he did he did think the guy was an ass bag apparently. So that's a little.
And we
harsh, but
we like James.
Yeah, we
He's
do.
a good
James
guy.
is a
He's a
great
good
guy.
guy. Yep.
we like
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
We like
That's a
everybody.
really
All right,
accurate-
so you think so?
Yeah.
So Brad, you
Yeah.
got to send us a couple of your trolls. We'll find out really
Okay.
what you were
All
thinking.
right. Yeah, you kill them with kindness, though. Kill them with kindness. You start with I'm gonna murder them, but then I can't do that.
Can't say that. Yeah, that's not
Delete,
good.
delete,
That's right.
delete,
And
delete,
just end
delete.
it with bless your heart.
Yeah, that always works.
Yeah.
Takes you 20 minutes to
My
delete
motto.
everything you typed, right?
Bless your heart.
All right, so thanks to Weather Trollbot 5000, always fun. And let's do this. Let's go to our freak fan box. MJ, what do we got?
All right, in the fan box today, we had the couple of them that I already mentioned from Helicity with the West Peary trolls and Ray Leichner with the tornado intercept. And then our episode 49 guest, or one of them, Min Fan, came back talking about National Weather Podcast Month, saying there are so many good ones, all with their own unique perspective on meteorology. Each podcast has a different feel. And then he goes on to suggest ours and Weather Brains and a couple of, and Carolina Weather Group actually, as ones that he would suggest. So the three of those got mentioned by Min. And then our favorite German viewer or listener, Luna Light, Christine, says actually she had a suggestion for us, the at Storm Doctor, as a possible guest for the show. So we'll have to take a look at that. So we appreciate all the all of our fans chiming in.
And everybody say "Danke, Fräulein."
Danke. That's right.
So, and how can they reach out to us, MJ?
Oh, I don't know. Twitter.
I don't know.
Stormfront.
Send us a letter.
We don't even care.
Stormfront Freak. Facebook.com/Stormfront Freaks. On our website, stormfrontfreaks.com.
We'll just do the Brad Sowder version. Just Google me.
That's
just
right.
Google me. You can find me. There. All right. So I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. Before I reveal our next guest, if you enjoy our show, do us a favor, leave us a great review on your podcast app, and don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. Works just like a magazine or newspaper subscription. It's free. It just assures you get the latest episode of our show delivered right to your inbox the minute that we upload it. So I want to shout out special thanks to our guest, Brad Sowder, tonight. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun, guys. Seriously.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on and taking the time. And for our co-host Chris Jackson as well was with us.
Thanks for having me on.
So Chris, do us a little favor. Tell us a little bit about Carolina Weather Group and how people can hear about you guys and what you're about.
Absolutely. So the Carolina Weather Group, we're just a local bunch of weather weenies from South Carolina, North Carolina TV Mets and private consultant meteorologists. We're on every Wednesday night live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at the Carolina Weather Group. We're also on Twitter at Carolina WX Group. And, basically we just try to discuss relevant topics in the weather community and, what we can do better to, take our field further up and just be better for science and for everyone that watches and listens.
Awesome.
Love that backdrop.
Thank you. I shot that picture last Friday night. A little mini supercell rolled right through Columbia, and I went out to the parking garage and shot some pictures.
Oh,
So fancy.
They got fancy stuff. Yeah.
They do, yeah. I'll tell you,
I'm in a hotel room.
Carolina Weather Group, Chris. You guys got some good video stuff going on.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So here's what's up. Our next episode in 2 weeks. We're going to continue National Weather Podcast Month. We'll be recording on March 21st as we celebrate Women's History Month with award-winning meteorologist in Puerto Rico, Ada Monzon is going to be with us. So we're really looking forward to having her on as well.
Cool.
If you'd like to watch the recording live, you can do so. It's 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Go ahead and check us out on our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks. So for MJ, Maz, Dina, Kim, Morgan, our intern, Chris, Brad, we got a whole group tonight. I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and well catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Cool. All right,
All
Brad,
right.
Chris, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Good
Sure,
job.
You guys were awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Nice.
Thank you a lot. It's a lot of
I'm
fun.
Got it.
Yeah.
Brad, we'll let you go to bed, but I'll reach out to you maybe early next week, and I'll just make sure you got links to the show once we've edited it and posted it and all that kind of stuff. I'll reach out to you and get you that stuff. But we'll have it on social media too. But I'll send you an email.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
What time
Thanks
you
so
get
much.
up? What time you get up, Brad?
Well, the best part about it is tomorrow. Well, I'm starting spring break. My kid's off school. I'm off tomorrow and all next week. But this morning I got up at 2. So I've been up since 2, getting a little, a little tired now. So.
Oh, I bet you are.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to sleeping in until 5 tomorrow.
Remember those days.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool. All right. Thanks a lot, Brad. Thank you.
have fun.
All right, bye guys.
See you
Hey,
guys.
guys, if there's anything
All
I
right.
can hear from you guys,
All right.
just feel free to shoot us a message, and we'll be glad to do whatever we can.
That's
Right.
awesome, man.
Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on. It was awesome.
Yep. No, it was a
Yeah,
blast.
thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
You
everybody.
guys you guys have a great night.
What did
Thanks.
your
You
shirt
too.
say?
What's
Chris,
that?
what's your
Debris
shirt say?
balling.
Just debris balling?
Yeah.
Debris
I dig it.
One of the Felicity's new shirts. I saw it. I'm like, I gotta have it.
Oh, boy.
That's cool.
That's
Some
right.
people may take offense to that shirt.
Cool.
Yeah, send us your backdrop.
Yeah.
I'm
All right,
looking.
guys.
I'm
Yeah, I
looking
gotta
forward
get
to
up in a
joining
few
you guys
hours.
on the 27th.
All right,
so.
Dina, good to
Absolutely,
see
Dina.
you.
Nice to
Also-
see you. I like your haircut, Kim.
I'll
Oh,
take care.
thanks, hon.
Yep,
See you,
see you
Dina.
I'm
guys.
tired.
Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
night.
All right.
See you,
Night,
Dina.
everybody.
Yeah, glad you
Bye.
made it on, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Yeah,
Good job.
I'm sorry. It was last second thing. My boss wanted me to come down here. So anyway.
By the way, and this is Morgan,
All right.
so you haven't officially
Yeah.
met Morgan.
Hi,
but-
Morgan.
Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Are you having fun?
Yes, yeah, I like it.
Good.
It's nice because I don't have to work. I can
Yeah.
do this instead.
Well, that is nice.
But I also really like being on the podcast.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good people. A lot of good guests. Well, good.
And working for free. It's awesome.
It is working for free.
Hey, I get a drink
We've
of
all
beer.
done it. Oh, there
That's
you
right.
go.
That's right.
Hey, I
Nice
was
to drink.
drinking wine out of this little paper cup.
Were you really?
I brought my own
Nice.
wine down here.
Nice.
I did.
Classy.
Anyway, classy, I know.
That is classy.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, okay, you guys.